Serena Williams was fined $17,000 for the way she behaved during the US Open finals. Now, she was playing against Naomi Osaka, a 20-year-old who actually ended up winning the match. And what ended up happening was the referee in this case had noticed that Serena Williams' coach was making some gestures toward her. And essentially, according to the referee, coaching her during the match, which is not supposed to happen. At that point, she got a point against her. I don't know, what is it called? This is painful for me to do.
Yeah, any sports story. And it's like, what is, they have a ball, they have a racket, I don't know what they do with it. And why do the points jump from 0 to 15 to 30? That makes no sense.
Because you know how sports people are. They're watching, they're like, go ahead, say the wrong word. Say it, say the wrong word. And then the second you do, you're so stupid. You're the dumbest person. That's why I'm like being careful.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Everybody has different expertise, okay?
I know, this is not my expertise. Go ahead, you do it, go for it.
No, I'm not a tennis expert either. Anyway, so they docked her a point, and then later on the third violation, they docked her a whole game, which, look, I'm not a huge, big tennis fan. I watched it intermittently in my life, but that seems like pretty severe consequence. In fact, we do have a lot to say about that because we do have evidence on whether that really is as severe as it sounds. I don't often see them dock points, but they might, and I'm not an avid tennis follower. But look, I'm going to adjudicate on all the different things that she did wrong and what should have been penalized and what shouldn't.
Okay, so the first thing, really quick, coach makes gestures, not supposed to be making the gestures and coaching her during the match, and so she gets penalized for that. Second thing that happened was she got frustrated, broke her tennis racket, and so she was reprimanded for that. And then the third thing was when she had called Carlos Ramos, who was the umpire, a thief for taking her points away for all this behavior. And then at that point, she was forced to forfeit the game. She was overall fined $17,000, and that money will come out of her $1.85 million check as the runner-up to Naomi Osaka.
Okay, so here are the things I know for sure, and then we'll get to the interesting debate. So I know that, first of all, the cheating story is true. The coach later, Patrick Mouratoglou, said, yeah, I was giving her signs. So should that have some consequences? Yes. Now, people like Billie Jean King are saying that's a bad rule, it shouldn't exist. Fair point, and they should decide that later, but it does exist. So docking her, certainly reprimanding her is absolutely logical because it was true. They were, in that sense, quote unquote, cheating. By the way, she overreacted even though they were doing it. I know because I did something similar when I was in school, which I'm still embarrassed about. And if you're a member, I'll tell you all about it in tonight's postgame, tyt.com/join, okay? But she reacted in the same way that I did. I didn't cheat, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's wrong about that.
I don't cheat to win, I'd rather lose, that was her quote.
Okay, it's a minor infraction, but it is technically cheating in tennis. Okay, so secondarily, breaking the racket. Well, you're not allowed to break the racket. So she's wrong about that. Now, the real question is, was it sexist to dock her a whole game when she called the umpire a thief?
Okay, before we adjudicate that, we're not the ones who brought up the word sexism. Serena Williams did. Here she is speaking at a press conference following this whole debacle.
I've seen other men call other umpires several things, and I'm here fighting for women's rights and for women's equality and for all kinds of stuff. And for me to say thief and for him to take a game, it made me feel like it was a sexist remark. I mean, like how he's never took a game from a man because they said thief. For me, it blows my mind.
Okay, so I remember watching tennis when I was a kid, and John McEnroe used to play, and he would smash the living crap out of rackets. He would yell and scream, and everyone would be like, "Ah, what a fiery guy! We like John McEnroe." Then he would battle Jimmy Connors. Jimmy Connors would do the same thing, not quite as much as McEnroe, but a lot. Been famously in a 1991 contest, cursing out the chair umpire and to no end. Did they ever get a game docked? Never. Okay, now you say, all right, well, that's an old story and that's not this particular umpire. Good point, I thought the same thing. So then we looked into it more. And does it happen where some other male players curse out the umpire? Yes. Do they get docked a game? Not as far as we could tell. And then how about this particular umpire, Carlos Ramos? Yes, he's been cursed out several times by really well-known male players. So the fact pattern here is pretty overwhelming. So there's that jerk who's an Australian player who used to be good, who's like ranked number 30, I think. Kyrgios?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I have that story.
So let's do those and you'll see.
So ABC News reported on this. So if you go to graphic 34, they say that at the 2016 French Open, Australian player Nick Kyrgios blew up at Ramos after he was given a warning for raising his voice at a ball boy. And this is what he allegedly said: "That's bull. Are you kidding?" And then he also shouted BS, effing BS. You know, just he's cursing at him. He's using profanity. He didn't call him a thief, but he said that, you know, it's effing BS. He was given neither a point penalty nor a game penalty.
Well, look, oops. I mean, that's right on point right there, if you will. I mean, thief is getting to you're a liar and etc. F and BS gets to the same exact point, but gets there in a way worse way. And he gets a stern looking at, and Serena Williams doesn't get docked a point, she gets docked a game. That's crazy, in a championship game. All right, but that's not even the worst of it. Rafael Nadal, same umpire in a French Open 2017 match, does the same thing.
But Rafael Nadal was like, you're never gonna be the umpire in a match that I play again.
Yeah, no, it's way worse. Because Nadal apparently had complained about another umpire, and the tennis association said, okay, he won't be an umpire in your games anymore. That's crazy. That's like picking your own refs and umpires. You can't do that. Can you imagine? I didn't like that strike call. You're not allowed to be in any of my baseball games anymore. What, right? But they let Nadal get away with that. So he threatens Carlos Ramos and says, you won't ever work again. And that's a way worse infraction, saying I'm gonna basically hurt your career, and fair or unfair, I'm gonna make sure that you don't get to work in tennis in my matches. No point deduction, no game deduction.
There are no winners in this story, right? Because look, for me, the thing that stood out, and it sucks, is that the person who won this game isn't even really being talked about, and she's a Japanese woman. Like, she made history by winning this match. And the story is all about the drama, the conflict, the points being taken away, the game being forfeited. And so that's unfortunate, okay? The other thing is, and maybe I'm alone on this, but I'm a firm believer in expressing yourself, okay? I get that it is unacceptable in the world of sports to participate in unsportsmanlike behavior. You shouldn't break your tennis racket. You shouldn't, whatever. Why not though? Why not? It's her racket, right? So if she's emotional or passionate, whatever, she's feeling things. You're playing a sport that you're passionate about, you're feeling things. Just let her feel them. She wants to break the racket, who cares? Why is that such a big deal? That I don't understand. You shouldn't be yelling expletives at people. You shouldn't verbally abuse people. So I do think that her behavior in that regard was uncalled for. But so she broke her racket, who cares?
So guys, look, I really think I came into this with an open mind because I had seen the headlines, but I hadn't seen the details, and I thought, well, it depends. As with anything, it depends on the context, etc. I was surprised to find out how much of a double standard there is for male and female athletes fairly consistently. So, I mean, tennis is a great example because, like I told you earlier, I grew up where male tennis stars who lost their temper were lauded and complimented and seen as heroes and stars. In fact, John McEnroe announced his tennis games today. He got famous by yelling at referees, umpires, whatever they're called in tennis, okay? So, I mean, how could you apply that standard and then punish? And Billie Jean King, a legendary tennis player, said women are, if they react, are called hysterical, right? And they're out of control.
That happens on this show all the time.
Yeah, when men do it, they're passionate and strong.
Yeah.
Now, to me, an even more egregious example, and I didn't know this, Hope Solo, a very famous women's soccer player, got kicked out for calling the other team cowardly at one point. Are you kidding me? Male athletes trash talk other teams nonstop. nonstop. And in fact, again, they are complimented for it. Jordan trash talked to other teams nonstop, and everybody's like, Michael Jordan! And we've given him hundreds of millions of dollars to buy his shoes. But Hope Solo does it once, you're out, you're gone, you're eliminated. That's insane. So people talking about this was not becoming of a woman. What? In the year 2018, we're still having that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because look, I don't think, we talk about conscious bias, unconscious bias a lot, and it certainly applies to this conversation as well. I don't think that most people are consciously applying a double standard with men versus women. I think that for a very long time, in this country specifically, we've been conditioned to look at women in a very specific way. Be agreeable, be pleasant, be nice, don't raise your voice. Otherwise, you are hysterical, you're too angry, you're too emotional. Those are the kinds of things that I know I've dealt with quite a bit doing this show. Cenk and I, are kind of similar in how we express ourselves when we're passionate about something. Cenk is passionate, I'm emotional, right? And so, look, I don't think people are bad when they engage in this double standard. I just want people to be aware of it because it is part of societal conditioning.
Is there a double standard? Well, apparently when you look at the facts, not only is there one, it's way worse than I suspected. So it's not too much to ask for to have the same standard apply to people, to take away a whole game in a championship game because she insulted your feelings when other players, male players have done it over and over again. That is egregious. By the way, Djokovic, another top star, had also insulted Ramos, that same umpire, and in much harsher language, he said, you're losing your mind, right? He's like, oh, raised eyebrow. Male stars, raised eyebrow. Female stars, you get your championship affected by it. She should have played beyond it, and look, all the credit in the world to Osaka, Naomi Osaka, who won this, and she won convincingly. But overall, there does seem like there was some injustice here. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.